Hello chess friends and welcome to your side of chess channel and welcome to an absolutely crazy game changer of the Giuoco Pianissimo of the Italian Opening. Welcome to a spectacular AI game between the two top engines, Leela C Zero and Tucano. So as I said, we'll see now the beautiful Italian Opening, the Giuoco Pianissimo, with the beautiful sharp theoretical novelty introduced to us here by Leela C Zero. I couldn't find this move that you see in the database, so no one dared to play this line. I could only see in the Leela chess database that many players have tried it out with success for white and for black, so it's really, I think, a line worth to know if you, of course, Italian opening player. If you don't like to play the Italian, I think still you're going to enjoy it because it's really a beautiful, sharp, tactical game. So let's see now what happened with the white pieces. Leela C Zero opened with the move e4, e5 by Tucano, knight to f3, knight to c6, bishop to c4. The Italian opening, we have now the Giuoco Piano after move bishop to c5, and now after move d3, we have the Giuoco Pianissimo. We have d6, we have c3, preparing, of course, to break and enter with the move d4, knight to f6, of course, not allowing d4 in some lines because then you could be vulnerable around the square e4. Here Leela continues with bishop to g5. We have h6 by Tucano, bishop to h4, g5, and after bishop to g3, now the fun starts. In move 8, Tucano played now the move knight to h5, hitting simply the bishop on g3. And in chess history, knight from b to d2 has been played. Also, d4 was one option in one game between Blanco against Nxh8. So Nxh8, for instance, one of the greatest players of the 90s, played here knight to h5, but actually it is a problematic line because Leela C Zero smelled some blood immediately and played now the aggressive knight to e5, which becomes now a beautiful theoretical novelty. In the Leela chess database, this line has been played with, I don't know, decent success for black, especially 61 games are won by black in this particular line, so it's still a line that you have to study deeper. You have to know, of course, what's going on now on the board. After knight to e5, what should black do? If you play, of course, knight to e5, it wouldn't be good because then after bishop to e5, d takes e5, you lose the knight, and white is up a pawn, has the clear attack against the f7 weakness, so it's simply not working. So after knight to e5, here you have to play knight to g3, and it makes sense because, of course, you're attacking also the rook. But Leela C Zero plays, first of all, bishop takes f7, we have king to e7, knight to g6, the fork, we have king takes f7, and now after knight to h8, queen to h8, and h takes g3. Here we have a line in which, okay, white gained the rook, but black has, I think, a beautiful compensation in two bishops. So white has now lost the bishop pair, the whole bishop pair for the rook. We have to say white also gained 2 pawns, because white still has all of the 8 pawns on the board. Black, on the other hand, has only 6 pawns on the board. But as I said, this is the position that we haven't reached so far in chess history. Very dynamic, aggressive line by Leela C Zero. Let's see now how white proceeded here and how black is trying now to defend this position. We have bishop to b6 by Tucano, d4. Good move by Leela, simply locking out both of these minor pieces of blacks on this side of the board. And we have to say it also, the light square bishop of blacks is not really a good piece. It doesn't have so many active squares all over the board. So here black is basically struggling how to include now the minor pieces into the game. We have queen to g7, knight to d2, queen to g6, and now a4, king to g7, and now f3, keeping everything compact, calm play here by Leela C Zero, not rushing with any pawn movement so far, simply playing on this beautiful restriction idea, not allowing here black's minor pieces to get into the game. We have a6, g4, we have queen to f7, and now knight to f1, with the idea to play knight to g3, and then maybe to hit the weak f5 score, because it's, I think, the most vulnerable square in black's camp, so that's why Leela C Zero is trying to occupy it. We have bishop to d7, knight to g3, and after rook to e8, now comes kingside castle. We have a5, and now a brilliant move by Leela, f4, cracking simply the position here. Leela says here, I have enough activity now. I have this beautiful rook on the f file. My knight is coming into the game. My queen is active. The only piece that needs improvement is, of course, the rook from a1 somehow. But look at this again. The pieces of blacks are paralyzed. Even the light square bishop doesn't have, so it's so weird, it's so strange now to play the game with the black pieces. You have this bishop here waiting somehow to get into the game, but it's very, very tough quest now for black. What should black do now? If you play g takes f4, then we have this one. Rook to f4, after queen to f4, knight to h5 is a fork, so that's why it's not working. After f4, we have king to h8, and now knight to h5. We have queen to e7, and now after takes g5, and now queen to g5. Here, queen to e4 seems also maybe tempting, but then you're running into a dirty tactical line after knight to f6. You could maybe try check. You're trying to escape. The knight is again getting back. The rook is coming into the game. Look at this. Queen to d3, and the game could be over already here for black. Black has to also worry about the king's safety here, because there are many spaces that white could attack, so it's not easy now, as I said, simply to defend this position now for black. So after takes g5, that's why queen to g5 by Tucano, hitting simply the weak g4 pawn. We have knight to f6, hitting the rook, hitting the bishop, but also protecting the g4 pawn. We have rook to e7, knight takes d7, rook takes d7, and now rook to f5. The optimal square, of course, for the rook. The queen has to step back. The queen on d1 is still protecting the g4 pawn. Queen to e3 check, king to h2. But you see, you have your fun with some checks, but really no support you have here. Still, the minor pieces are locked out here. Great strategic, but also we have to say great tactical play so far by Leela C Zero. Okay, Tucano took the pawn on e4. Leela includes now the queen into the game, and is hoping, of course, to get this other rook into the game. Now the heavy artillery is attacking black's king. We have rook to g7, rook to f4, kicking away the queen, queen to f3, and now finally this knight is coming into the game. But again, really no good squares. You could maybe use this square, but again, you get check. This rook is coming into the game. The square f5 is taken. You would love to get maybe your knight on f5. That would be, I think, then a good position for black, but so far it's simply not working. So rook to e1, obviously here by Leela, including now the last piece into the attack. We have c6. Tucano is desperately trying now to somehow get the dark square bishop into the game. Rook to f6, kicking away the queen. The problem is, of course, you cannot take the pawn because you're losing decisive material here on the d file. We have after rook on the e file, pardon me. After rook to f6, we have queen to g5, rook to f8 check, and now Tucano simply covered, which makes, of course, now this attack much stronger now by white. Now this other rook is included on the 8th rank. From this point on, I think it's really tough to defend this position for black. We have a d5. Tucano is finally trying to get the dark square bishop into the game. We have a king to h3, bishop to c7, and now queen to f5, hoping to get the trades of queens and going into a favorable endgame, because usually you could play with two minor pieces against the rook, but the issue, many of these pawns are weak here. This pawn is weak. We can get also the bishop behind, so even if you take out now the queen, then you improve simply the position here. This passer is rolling, so again, very dangerous position for black. After queen to f5, we have b5, b3, bishop to d6, rook to f6, attacking the bishop, bishop to e7, and now queen takes g5, h takes g5, and now Tucano lost, I think, a very important pawn. Here we have now pawn majority, 4 versus 3 situation on the queen side, and obviously this is now completely winning here for white. We have b4, c4, d takes c4, b takes c4, and now first a check. Nothing dramatically is going on here in white's position. King hides on g3, rook to f7. We have rook to g6, again attacking the knight further. Bishop to f8. And now rook to g5. So you see, with every move, Tucano is losing more and more material, so it's simply not working here. Knight to f6, so we have rook to f5, king to g7, getting this other rook into the game, and now rook to e6, again attacking the knight, forces again the bishop to retreat, and now again a new move by Leela C Zero. Again, a pawn is lost, so it's a very massive position for black. King to f7, we have now d5 supporting the rook. Here Tucano tries, of course, to play rook to b7, going behind this pawn, but here Leela C Zero stops it with rook to e3. Even if you play b3 now, rook to b5 is solving all of the position problems in white's camp. So that's why after rook to e3, we have bishop to d8, rook to b5 anyway, and now we have 3 connected passers supported by the rook. Okay, Black has still 2 minor pieces, but it's really game over. We have knight to d7, king to f3, king is getting closer, not allowing here this pawn to be promoted. Now Leela C Zero stretches simply black's defense, pushes now pawns on both sides, which is basically unstoppable for black. We have king to g6, and now a brilliant move by Leela C Zero, rook to e6. Really wild stuff, threatening of course rook to c6. If you take now knight to e6, d takes e6, for instance, you try king to g5, then this pawn is marching and it's game over. You don't have to, of course, take the pawn on g5. You could try maybe to stop with bishop to b6, but then you're running into still winning endgame here for white. White will simply get the king closer to the action, will push this pawn, deflect the bishop from the square b6, which is very important now to advance the pawn. Black has to again bring the bishop into the defense, and now the king is marching, and as I said, the position is simply too stretched. We have access to the a6 square. You're trying maybe to compete like this, but now with king to a7, there's simply no good move anymore against b7, b8. You could maybe try this one, but then we push the pawn on g5, the bishop gets deflected, and then b7, b8 is again game over here for black. Really wild stuff. So great tactic by Leela C Zero with this move rook to e6. Here Tucano took, but now one of those minor pieces will be lost, so Stockfish, I said Stockfish, it's Leela C Zero of course, but we used to see of course Stockfish playing in such a perfect way. So after king to f6 we have e7, now Leela C Zero attacked the bishop, b2, king gets closer, here we have bishop to b6, and in this particular position Tucano resigned. Obviously with 2 pawns with up the exchange, this is completely winning here for white. So great game I think by Leela C Zero, especially this move knight to e5. As I said, you could maybe try it out, maybe in some blitz bullet games in the beginning, maybe try this line by Leela C Zero. Interesting, I think, very progressive line of the Italian opening, d3. We're playing c3, we're delaying. Of course, black can play h6 and similar stuff, but it weakens the structure. But after knight to f6, this is very interesting line. After knight to h5, knight to e5 is, I think, working here perfectly fine for white. So okay, I hope that you enjoyed this game. I really enjoyed it a lot. Interesting ideas of the Giuoco Pianissimo of the Italian opening. If you want to see more spectacular AI chess, check out our Come to Chess Games Play by Computer series. Here's the link of our playlist, and if you like this content, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. See you soon with some more videos, and what do we say in the end? Chess is the best, of course.